Hello, today we are going to install openSUSE Tumbleweed in a QEMU Virtual Machine with KDE Plasma desktop and then set up kdesrc-build for Qt6. So this is the openSUSE Wikipedia page. Let's go at Tumbleweed. Tumbleweed is the flagship of the openSUSE project. So it's a rolling release. And the operating system tries to preserve the known good states as snapshots if you use the default file system, which is btrfs. Okay, so let's install it. opensuse.org. Tumbleweed install. Download. So this is for AMD 64-bit, which is the default option. Let's go with the offline image. The offline image does not work. What about the network image? Just a second, let me download this thing. So it uses a system of mirrors, and the mirror that's currently selected, which is an NXT host, has a bit of an issue. Okay, so we'll need to select another mirror. What else? Do we have something from the US? Okay. I always download them to the same directory. To delete ISO, save. So this is called openSUSE Tumbleweed DVD x86-64, and the snapshot is from yesterday. And the extension is ISO. Okay, so it's going to take a while to download because it comes from a mirror and it's all 4.4 gigabytes. I'll be back after it finishes downloading. Okay, meanwhile I see that we do not have Virt Manager, which is called Virtual Machine Manager. Let's install this thing. The hardware machine, the host machine, is running Ubuntu 23.10. Let's become super user. Let's see if the name of the package is indeed Virt Manager. Yeah, that's the name. Go ahead. So the engine behind is libvirt. Behind that there's QEMU, and the kernel module is KVM. I'm not sure if this is going to install correctly if I do not do a reboot. We'll see. Okay, let's see if the application exists. It's called Virtual Machine Manager. Here it is. The libvirt daemon is not running. I'm going to do a restart after the ISO finishes installing. That's the best option. I have finished downloading the offline image, 4.4 gigabytes. I've also downloaded the checksum, so by pressing here. And let's check the SHA-256 sum. So it looks like this. Okay, so we should start with AC and end with 66. Starts with AC, ends with 66. Now I'm going to reboot because it's the first time that I have installed libvirt virt manager, and this way the new settings will take place, the correct processes and services will be started. Now let's start virt manager and see if everything is okay. Let's create a new virtual machine. Forward. I needed to add a new storage pool. I've selected the directory where I downloaded the ISO, which is in my home directory, and then I gave it a name, finish. From here I want to select the ISO, not the SHA-SUM file. Choose volume. It automatically found the correct name for the operating system, so say openSUSE Tumbleweed, so virt manager will create a virtual machine that has the best configuration as required by openSUSE Tumbleweed. Forward. Says that virt infrastructure needs access to the directory where I have downloaded the ISO. Do you want to correct? Yes. Okay, so I have 32 gigabytes of RAM. I'm going to go with at least 10 gigabytes. CPU cores, vCPUs, I'm going to go with at least 14. Virtual machine, we're going to go with at least 250 gigabytes. openSUSE Tumbleweed, kind of long. Let's go with just Tumbleweed. Customize before install. The network selection is the default, which is not network address translation. Not started yet. We'll start this network. So the correct name uses BIOS, the newer motherboard. 14 vCPUs in the wrong topology, so just one CPU socket. So just one CPU that's placed on the motherboard. But then we'll have 14 virtual cores and no hyperthreading, so 14 vCPUs. Okay, the hard disk will be of the fastest type possible, which is virt.io. Inside of the CD-ROM drive there will be the ISO. Network interface card the fastest possible, which is virt.io. Tablet for not grabbing the mouse. And the rest are just defaults that I never look at. So begin installation. Okay, this is the bootloader. This is grub probably. Installation. So now it's booting in a live CD mode, such that it can format the virtual hard disk. It takes a while to do things which other operating systems do not do. Okay, so this is the installer. It's running probably in full screen mode. We'll have to wait until network auto setup finishes. Okay, installer update, repositories initialization. Now we're at the page with the license key, with license agreement and keyboard. Default keyboard English US, yes. Next. Online repositories. If I'm going to activate these, it will probably download many RPM files, but let's go with activate online repositories now, yes. Source is debug, non-open source main. Okay, looks okay. Next. Okay, in here it asks if I want KDE Plasma, and yes, that's what I want. So this is a radio button, just one option can be selected there. And now it asks if I agree with this partition scheme. So the virt.io SSD, in there it creates a partition table of type GPT, not MBR, which is okay with me. Then partition VDA1 for BIOS, which is okay. VDA2 with BTRFS, I have never used BTRFS, so I'm going to see if I can edit this thing. No LVM, no disk encryption, ext4, no separate home partition, no separate swap partition. Hopefully it creates a swap file. Who knows, maybe it doesn't. Okay, so ext4 and separate swap partition. Next. And now it looks okay. Network time protocol. Eastern New York. We'll create one user. Use this password for system administrator, so this is probably for sudo. No automatic login. Next. Password to simple. Grob bootloader. Not to MBR, but whatever. Can't we change this thing? Let's disable at least the firewall. It's a virtual machine. And enable SSH server. Okay, so DHCP, ENP1S1, correct. Network manager. It looks okay. Looks okay. Install. Confirm installation, install. Okay, and this is the progress bar where it actually takes packages from the ISO file copies them to the hard disk of the new machine, and then it installs them. So this is going to take a while. I'll pause this a bit and I'll be back. Okay, so the needed packages have been installed either from the CD-ROM or from the internet. Now it will reboot the machine. It tries to boot into openSUSE Tumbleweed, so this is the grab bootloader. There's just a disk in here. The CD-ROM slot is empty, no ISO inside, and boot options just hard disk, which is correct. This is SDDM, the desktop manager from the KDE community. So let's not even log in. Let's see if that is possible. We're going to try to connect to the virtual machine from the command line using SSH. So for that I go SSH, the name of the Linux user, IPv4 address. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Password. Okay, so the next step would be to install a minimum amount of SUSE packages, openSUSE packages, such that I can, what I call, survive at the command line. So for that, I'm going to go sudo. Okay. So now I am the root user. Let's install packages. So zypper is the command line that I'm going to use. Let's see the command. What's this thing? So there's install with the shortcut IN. Okay, and I'll probably also need to know how to search for packages. /search, search or SE. Okay, let's note these things down. So zypper install, zypper search. Okay. Install mcd orthodox file manager, git emacs no x as a text editor for the command line. Let's see what this thing will install. So it will not install the GUI packages, which is great, because otherwise this is okay how it is. It will also install a C compiler and parts of Perl. Looks okay to me. I'm going to press enter to choose the default option, which is the lowercase y. Okay, and now I'm going to look at my notes on how to install the RDP remote desktop protocol server xrdp and xorg xrdp. Okay. openSUSE Tumbleweed. Okay. So that's about it for the way I use the command line now. I want to connect to the virtual machine with a graphical user interface. So let's do these things. We'll install two packages, xrdp and xorg xrdp. I need to enable the xrdp server. And then I want to use a command line like this one. But I'm not sure if xfreerdp is already installed, so let's check that in a separate tab in the console. Ctrl-Shift-T. xfreerdp is there, it's installed. Let's edit the command line. This is administrator. The IP address ends with 185. And that's it. Okay, so this is the first time the KDE Plasma desktop is being logged into. So a user was created, a user administrator, and now is the first time that we have started the KDE Plasma desktop. It shows me the welcome dialog. So a first run dialog. I'm going to go show on next startup, and then I'm going to go close. Okay. What are you trying to do, policy kit? Not sure what it's trying to do. Okay. So the next step is for me to only make the screen recording of what's inside the FreeRDP window. So we don't need the KDE Plasma panel from the host machine. We have the KDE Plasma panel from the guest machine, from the virtual machine, and that's enough. Okay, so I have resized the FreeRDP window, which is the RDP Remote Desktop Protocol client, to 1080p. And now I'm connecting to it, to the virtual machine. And I'm recording just what's inside the virtual machine. Okay. We have KDE Plasma installed. Next up, we'll need to install KDE's build framework, which is called kdesrc-build for the current version of Qt, which is Qt6. So for that, I'm going to do a bit of terraforming in here. Just ignore what I'm doing for the next 2 minutes. Okay, and downloads. Always ask. Okay, so we have a private window. That's what we're going to use. And we're going to go with kde.org, which is the home page of the KDE community. And then we go get involved and development. And in here we find out that openSUSE Tumbleweed is one of the better supported operating systems by kdesrc-build, and that's what we should use. And then we have a two-step process, which consists out of downloading and installing, configuring kdesrc-build, which is the build framework, and then use kdesrc-build to build some software and make sure that the installation is correct, because once we build more KDE Git repositories using kdesrc-build, we need to install more RPM packages from openSUSE Tumbleweed. Dependency packages which do not use Qt. Okay, so this is the first step. Should be done just once. On openSUSE, we need to run this thing. We already did everything. But if it says so, we're going to do it. So favorites. I don't need contact, LibreOffice, not help, not Firefox, console. Okay, let's have these two side by side. The documentation covering the right half of the screen and the work covering the left half of the screen. Password, I need to enter the password of the user administrator because the user does not have a password yet. Git is already installed. Okay, we're not going to configure Git. Configuring Git is for writing to the Git repositories, and we're just going to read from the Git repositories. Okay, so kdesrc-build does two things. Knows about the KDE Git repositories, what is the order in which they should be built, what are the dependencies between those, such as, for instance, the KDE Git repository kcalc depends on the KDE Git repository kconfig, so it will build kconfig first and kcalc later. Okay, we'll need to run this block. Okay. On openSUSE Tumbleweed, I'm not sure this thing is required, so we'll skip it. I'm going to run this part. Okay, so it installs many RPM packages. Why? Because it needs to install the latest and greatest Qt and most of the Qt libraries, and both for Qt6, which is what the current KDE Git repositories use, and for Qt6 because there are still some KDE Git repositories that do not know Qt6 and will need Qt5. So both versions of Qt will be installed with all of their dependencies, Qt5 and Qt6. And then also additional libraries which are not part of the KDE community, not part of Qt, are not Qt, are going to be installed because the various KDE Git repositories need libraries from the operating system, such as image libraries, compression libraries, audio-video codec libraries, etc. Okay, so this is the Qt5 part, this is the Qt6 part. So 487 packages to install. It's better that it installs many packages because then you will have less issues building KDE software. So the more packages kdesrc-build initial setup installs, the better. And these RPM packages from openSUSE Tumbleweed are really small. Okay. And we're not going to do what it says in here. We're not going to put kdesrc-build in the path environment variable, so we will not be able to run kdesrc-build from any directory. We'll only be able to run kdesrc-build from this directory. So tilde/kd/src/kdesrc-build. So always remember to change the directory to tilde/kd/src/kdesrc-build before running ./kdesrc-build with various parameters. So we're not going to do fish things. So for the fish shell, nothing for the ZSH shell, nothing for the bash shell. Okay, says update your bash RC. I'm going to press enter to choose the default option, which is N, which is no. Okay, so now it says I'm missing out because I cannot run kdesrc-build from any directory. I'll need to go to that directory first, which is okay with me. Okay, then it says that I need to set up Qt. I'm not sure what it wants to say. Then I want to disable any services and processes on this machine which are looking often inside of ~kd inside of my home directory. So I do not want to have any antivirus software or similar security software or file indexers or anything else looking inside ~kd. So we'll need to put a exception for this directory. Okay, this is the system settings. So we need to go to file search. Okay, says let's remove some directories, or we could just, because this is a virtual machine, just for the purposes of building KDE software, I can just disable file indexing altogether. I'm going to go apply and then delete index data. With that, we're done. And now I'm going to, so a configuration file has been created, which is in here in the home directory, in the hidden directory .config, so ~/.config, named kdesrc-build. I'm going to copy this thing in the current directory. So mv, not copy, but move. Okay, so now the configuration file resides in ~kd/src/kdesrc-build and is named kdesrc-build-rc. And the executable is in the same directory, ~kd/src/kdesrc-build, and is named kdesrc-build or kdesrc-run. Okay, then now it says that we should start compiling. I do not need to log out of the current desktop session and relog in or restart, because I'm not changing the path environment variable. I did not do anything interesting with the command line shells. Okay, so the order that I always use is the same. First of all, I'm going to build, let's look at the configuration file first. So let's put a full path such that you can remember this thing. Let's zoom a bit. Okay, so ~kde/src kdesrc-build, and the name of the file is kdesrc-build and with an rc at the end. Okay, so says branch group kf5 Qt5. This is wrong. Let's replace all of these things. Okay, so I have replaced all of the 5s with a 6 because we're not interested in building KDE Git repositories using kdesrc-build for Qt5, but for Qt6. Let's increase this thing. Let's go with the number of vCPUs -2. So I'm on 14 -2, that's 12. Okay, and since both the configuration file is here and all of these files are in the exact same directory, I can just replace this with nothing. Okay, I don't need absolute paths because the kdesrc-build and the configuration file will always be in the same directory that these two files are. Okay. Next up, I'm going to start kdesrc-build. The first thing that I am going to build is the KDE frameworks version 6 named kconfig. Okay, this will git clone 3 KDE Git repositories, sysadmin repo metadata extra cmake modules, and kconfig. We'll configure them using cmake, we'll build them using Ninja, and we'll install them. Okay, let's look at the directories involved. How do we do that? So there's a tilde/kd directory. In there, there's 3 subdirectories. src is a directory where we do where kdesrc-build does git clone operations. So all of these are KDE Git repositories except the directory log. So these are valid Git repositories. There is a .git directory in here. This thing. So in the directory src. In the directory src, Ninja takes the files from whatever cmake plus Ninja take the files from the src directory and build them in the build directory. So it did build 2 Git repositories, extra cmake modules and kconfig. We can see the steps running cmake here, which is this thing, and then compiling, which is creating executable files in here. Let's see the ones for kconfig. So this bin subdirectory, these are all executables. And then the installing step is run by Ninja, where it copies the build artifacts and other files from the build directory and puts them into the install directory, which is tilde/kd/usr. That's why there's 3 subdirectories in here. This is for git clone. This is for cmake configure and build, and this is for install. Okay, so kconfig has built correctly. The next one that I'm going to do is kcalc. Always remember to put a / in front. Okay, kcalc requires more building more KDE Git repositories than just sysadmin repo metadata, extra cmake modules, and kconfig. It will need 17 other KDE frameworks, 6 Git repositories, and KDE libraries. Okay, since Wayland fails, let's look at why Wayland fails. On the penultimate line, Kate highlights the error line with red, and you can see that in the minimap in the scroll bar. So it says XML2 not found or not executable. Okay, I'll note these things down. And in the meantime, I'm going to use a command line parameter to not stop on failure. So the command line parameter is stop on failure or no stop on failure. Like this, with a prepended NO. So I do not want kdesrc-build to stop building if Wayland fails. Okay. So let's see how many other Git repositories except Wayland fail to build. And maybe Wayland is not really needed by kcalc. And that means that we are lucky. Okay, so I'll be back after more of the KDE Git repositories finish building. Okay, so KDE src, in here many KDE Git repositories are being git cloned. and then the git clone directories remain clean as they were when you did git, where kdesrc-build did git clone. No build artifacts will be created in this directory or any subdirectories. All of the generated files, all of the Ninja files, all of the build files, all of the build artifacts, etc. are going to land in ~kd/build such that the git clone directory is kept clean. Okay, so the KDE build framework kdesrc-build has managed to build the KDE Git repository kcalc and all of the other KDE Git repositories that kcalc depends on. So this is the KDE framework version 6, another one, another one, another one, another one, etc. There's 90 KDE frameworks version 6, each with its own KDE Git repository. Okay. And Wayland has failed to build, but then kdesrc-build did build correctly kcalc. So that's not a big problem. Wayland does not build because the executable XML2 is not on the path, this is what it tried to do. It says that it does not exist. This is fixed by installing an RPM package from the Linux operating system, which is named openSUSE Tumbleweed, which contains this executable binary XML2. We will fix it in such a way that kdesrc-build -- initial setup, so this step, will also install all of the needed dependencies for Wayland. But for now, we were able to build kcalc successfully with just adding this command line parameter to the kdesrc-build command line. So --no, which means the negation, and then the rest of the parameter name, which was stop on failure. So -no, -stop, -on, -failure, which means do not stop if one of the Git repositories fail to build. Try to build the rest, and maybe the one that failed to build was not really needed. Okay. The next step after we have built kcalc successfully, kcalc is the KDE desktop calculator, which is this application. This thing. We want to run it from the same directory where we run kdesrc-build, which is ~kd/kd/src/kdesrc-build. We're going to run kdesrc-run, and then the name of the KDE Git repository, in this case, kcalc. Okay, and now on the same KDE Plasma desktop session, we have two processes of type kcalc, but different ones. The one on the left side is built using Qt 5.15.11, whereas the one on the right side is built using Qt 6.6. Both versions of Qt 5.15.11 and 6.6 were installed from the Linux binary packages, so from openSUSE Tumbleweed RPMs. This KDE Frameworks 5.11 was installed when we selected the KDE Plasma desktop in the openSUSE Tumbleweed installer, whereas this thing, KDE Frameworks 5.240, is us using kdesrc building from source all of the KDE Frameworks version 6, so all of these ones. Okay, so this Qt 6.6.0 is installed using RPM packages, whereas this KDE Frameworks version 6 was installed using kdesrc-build. Okay, and the applications look a bit different. Again, this one is using Qt5 and this one is using Qt6. Okay, and they're not even using the same theme because this has highlight when you mouse hover on top of the main menu. This one does not. This shows accelerators, so an underline under F because I can go Alt F to open that menu, whereas this one hides the accelerators. The accelerators are still there, but they're not visible. You need to press the Alt key and hold it pressed to show the accelerators. So they're using different themes. This theme is provided by KDE Plasma Desktop. This one is provided by Qt. In order to fix this thing, you would need to build at least the Plasma integration. This one. Okay, so this will make sure that Qt6 KDE Git repositories that use Qt6 will use a theme that was created by the KDE community, not by the Qt framework. This changes the way the file open and file save dialogs look like. So again, theming, how menus look like. Who knows what else, what other integrations with the desktop. Okay, so after I finish installing kdesrc-build, in order to make sure and prove that the installation of kdesrc-build and configuration was successful, I do three things. And these are, I go kdesrc with // kdesrc-build first was kconfig. This has only downloaded, built, and installed 3 Git repositories. The next one is kdesrc-build kcalc. This builds 24 Git repositories. Then I make sure that kcalc was built correctly by actually running it, because kcalc is the graphical user interface application. And then the last step that I do, just to make sure that the installation of kdesrc-build was correct, is I build all of the KDE frameworks, which is 90 KDE Git repositories. Okay, so that's what I usually do, just to make sure that the kdesrc-build installation is installed and configured correctly. The next step would be to make sure that all of the applications are actually using the KDE Plasma desktop themes and other integrations. So they're using the size of the fonts that KDE Plasma that's configured in here in fonts. In here, they're using the colors that are configured in KDE Plasma, etc. And the file open and file save dialogs. And also they're opening the correct applications when they want to open an HTTP or HTTPS link. Which is this default applications setting and this file associations setting. For that, I install Plasma integration. Okay, so that would be it. You can stop kdesrc-build anytime as any Linux command line process tree or executable or process or whatever. You can stop it with Ctrl+C. Okay, so the last step that I wanted to do in this screen recording was to build frameworks. And it has already built 27 KDE frameworks version 6 out of the 90, so it seems that the KDE frameworks will build it correctly, even if we already have two Git repositories that fail to build, so GPG, ME, and Wayland. Okay, so that's all. That's how you install openSUSE Tumbleweed in a QEMU Virt Manager virtual machine. That's very fast, uses the latest and greatest virtualization technologies in the Linux kernel, so VirtIO for SSD and for network interface card. It uses KVM such that it makes use of the hardware acceleration in AMD64, x86-64 CPUs. Everything's really fast. And when you install openSUSE Tumbleweed in your virtual machine, you select the first option there, the first radio button, which is KDE Plasma Desktop, because it's important to be inside of the KDE Plasma Desktop when you use kdesrc-build. And then I have set up, installed kdesrc-build following the procedure. So from kd.org, you go to get involved and development, then set up a development environment with kdesrc-build, gets you to this page, and then I have run the things that are relevant to openSUSE Tumbleweed, this thing, and this thing. I have ignored these things, 1, 2, I do not use ZSH or fish, FISH. And then I have built what I always build, which is kdesrc-build kconfig, kdesrc-build kcalc, kdesrc-run, not build, kcalc, and then kdesrc-build frameworks. Thank you.